Hey Crossroads kids, my name's Garen and I am so excited to be bringing you some Bible teaching and some fun from, well, the only place we're allowed to be right now, our house. Now, the past few weeks we've been talking about DIY and forgiving other people, and I thought the best way to start this is I'm going to show you a DIY that I recently bought. So I was out a couple weeks ago, and just like everybody, I've been obsessed with Baby Yoda, and this is a Baby Yoda that I bought from someone who actually handmade this. This is a DIY project that they did, and I got to get this, and I was so excited to find it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to attempt my own DIY Baby Yoda for you to see. So here it is, the final DIY Baby Yoda project. I didn't have any green Play-Doh, but this is what I came up with. And it's actually kind of scary looking. Let's compare my DIY with a professional DIY. Yeah, DIY is really hard. And I think that's one of the things that we've learned over the past couple weeks. It's just like forgiveness. Forgiveness is really, really hard too. And so when we're looking at our story today, I want you to think about how hard it is to do what we're going to see in this story. Just how hard it was to create a Baby Yoda, and his ears even falling off now. This is not something that's easy. So as I thought about our story, which is going to be the prodigal son, I started thinking about something I've noticed in my own life. And so if you don't know, I have a daughter who is 1.5, and I have a dog. Okay? And so every time my daughter comes home, she will run right past me and right to my dog and give him a big hug and love all over him. And then she'll come over to me. And it drives me crazy. My dog eats her food. My dog sometimes accidentally knocks her over and slobbers all over her. And I don't do any of that. What do? I just love her and play with her and tuck her in at night and read her stories. But still, she runs up to my dog first. And it drives me crazy. And it's one of those things that I think about, and I'm like, oh, what do I need to do? Why doesn't she come up to me first? And I think that story, and just a silly example like that, kind of ties into the story we're going to read today. So let's go check out our Bible story for today.
Today's Bible story comes from the book of Luke. Did you know Luke was actually a doctor? Wowee!
So to set up our story for today, we have to remember where Jesus is doing all of his ministry, and it's mostly in this area right here, okay? And so Jesus is going around all of these different towns, and he's eating with people who everyone's saying, Jesus, you should not be eating with those people. And the main people who are saying that are people called the Pharisees, and Pharisees are religious leaders at that time. And it's the people who worked in the synagogues and stuff, and they're saying, Jesus, you should not be eating with those people. We're so much better than you because we don't do that. And so Jesus stops and he tells this story. Jesus tells the Pharisees a story about a dad, his oldest son, and a younger son. Okay? And in these times, the dad would leave money for the sons so that when he died, they would have money. Okay? And the younger son says, Dad, can I please get my money now? And the dad gives him that money, and the son leaves. The younger son leaves and goes and spends it and does all this terrible stuff and loses all of the money. Things end up getting so bad for the younger son that he actually ends up taking a job where his only job is to feed and take care of pigs. He just had a ton of money and was doing whatever he wanted, and now he's stuck feeding pigs, okay? And one day he's feeding pigs, and he probably smells terrible, and he has a thought. He says, I need to go back home and see my dad. I need to go and talk to him and ask for his forgiveness. But he's scared because he just wasted all of his dad's money, and now he's going to go home and hopefully his dad doesn't freak out and get super, super mad because he lost all that money. So he decides he's going to go back home. And that's exactly what he does. So the younger son starts walking toward his house, and he can see it in the distance. And all of a sudden, he sees his dad. And I bet you in that moment, his stomach kind of goes, oh, I'm so scared. But what actually happens next is crazy, okay? We've been talking about DIY and talking about forgiveness. The dad sprints. He runs as fast as he can out to his son and hugs him and loves him and says, son, it's okay. Imagine how that son felt. Forgiveness changes everything in this story. But we're not done yet. So we can't forget, there's another son here who was really responsible. He saved the money his dad gave him, and he's been working and working and working hard. And one day he comes back in, and he notices there's like a party going on. Up to one of the servants who worked at the house, and he says, what is happening right now? And they said, your dad is throwing a party for your younger brother. Come on in. And the older brother loses his mind. You're saying my dad is throwing a party for that pig-feeding, money-stealing younger brother of mine? The older brother, he marches straight into his dad. He goes to the door and he finds his dad and he says, Dad, what are you doing? Why are you throwing a party for my younger brother? And this is what the Bible says happens next. And the son says in Luke 15, chapter 29, but he answered his father, look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders, yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. Then in chapter 30 or verse 31, the dad replies, my son, the father said, you are always with me and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is now found. Wow. This dad is showing the perfect example of what forgiveness looks like. But the older brother, he looks like me when I get frustrated at my daughter for not hugging me first instead of my dog, which is a silly example, like I said, but when we see this story, the dad is taking that DIY forgiveness idea, and he is showing it perfectly. He forgives and says, look at your younger brother now. He's alive. So I have a big question for you. What do you think happened next? See, this is where the Bible's really cool, is Jesus does not tell us the ending of this story. We don't know what the older brother does. We don't know if he goes and forgives his younger brother. We don't know if he goes and gets super, super mad and tries to get into a fight or something. We don't know what happens. But what I want you to do is, this is my challenge. I want to give you 2 challenges for this week that you can do with your family. And the first one is this: come up with your family with an ending to this story. Talk about what should that older brother do? What would it look like? And then the second challenge I have for you is kind of silly. So in the beginning of this lesson, we talked about DIY and how hard it is, how hard even forgiveness is, like we've talked about. My challenge for you this week is, can you create a Baby Yoda out of something in your house? Can you create a Baby Yoda that is better than mine? And if you look, mine is already kind of like, I don't know what's happening to it anymore. But could you create a Baby Yoda and send it to us so we could see it? And if you can't create a Baby Yoda, maybe you can create some kind of Star Wars character or your favorite movie character and send that to us. And that would be awesome. I hope you enjoyed this Bible story as much as I did, and the DIY idea of forgiveness, which is hard. And I think after this video, I'm going to need you to take my dog outside and play with him and show him a little bit of forgiveness, huh? Don't you think? And guys, I hope you take this forgiveness idea and think about it, and this is a perfect time to do something about it. We have all this time to call and FaceTime and text our friends and just tell them that we forgive them for maybe something they did to us that we've been holding on to. And so as we go throughout this week, I'm going to be praying for you, and I just can't wait till we're back in our church buildings, and so that we can have kids ministry together, and just, it is going to be a blast. But until then, we'll be doing videos like this each week, and I look forward to seeing you then.